Good afternoon, children. Welcome to today's class. Today we are going to discuss Dalton's atomic theory. As we know, this theory already we have learned in the previous classes. One postulate was there, which is telling us that any compound that contain the elements in simple whole number ratio. Okay, in a compound, the atoms which are there that will combine in a simple ratio. This rule, the elements which will the compounds which will follow this rule, those are called Daltonite compounds. Okay, here you can see this. Generally, maximum compounds follow this rule, and they will combine in a simple whole number ratio, the atoms present in the compound in a simple whole number ratio, and that's why these are called, as they are following the Dalton's theory, the Dalton's postulate. That's why these are called, those elements we will call as Daltonite compounds. Okay, normal any compound, suppose it may be water, H2O. Here hydrogen and oxygen atoms, the number of hydrogen and oxygen atom we will find as the ratio is 2:1. Okay, in carbon dioxide the ratio is 1:2, like this. So these are simple whole number ratios. That's why these compounds we will call as Daltonite compound. But there are certain compounds which will not follow the rule. Okay, that means there we will not find this simple whole number ratio, and those we will call as Bertholite compounds. Okay, so these are the example for this are like the example for Bertholite compounds, iron oxide, FeO. Okay, this we will write as FeXO, where this X term will vary from 0.93 to 0.96. Okay, that means here it's clearly visible that it's not simple whole number ratio. If X is 0.93, if we take, then X is to this number of oxygen atom is here 1. So this is the ratio is 9.3:1. So this is not simple whole number ratio. Okay, like this we have vanadium compounds also, vanadium oxide, where this X varies. For vanadium compound, vanadium oxide VXO, this X, this will be 0.6 to 0.6 to 1.3. Okay, at this range. Okay, here also you can see this is not a simple whole number ratio, the atoms. So this vanadium oxide, this oxides also called as Bertholite compound. So this was this difference between Daltonite and Bertholite compound. Now we are going to discuss about atomic theory, and at the same time we will be talking about the modern atomic theory, because Dalton's atomic theory is having some drawbacks or limitations. So as we know, Dalton said that any element is consists of very small particles, very tiny particles. Okay, and these particles are indivisible, we cannot divide them. Whereas in modern atomic theory we found that atoms also can be divisible. It contains 3 subatomic particles which are called electron, proton and neutron. Okay, so this was the first postulate of Dalton. Next, Dalton told that the element of the atoms of or the particles of any element, particular element is having a particular mass. That means they are having a particular mass which cannot match with other. Okay, and for each element this mass will be different. Okay, this mass will be different for each element. But in modern atomic theory, we found that we have isotopes. That means, suppose if we talk about isotopes of hydrogen, see, according to Dalton, hydrogen's mass will be exact mass. Okay, its mass will not change. Okay, all hydrogen atoms, all the atoms of hydrogen will be having the same mass. But we have seen that hydrogen is having 3 different isotopes. This is normal hydrogen H11, whose mass is 1 unit. We have deuterium and we also have deuterium. That means same element but having different mass. Okay, so this is one limitation of Dalton's atomic theory. Again, Dalton told that the mass of different elements will be different. Okay, any two different element cannot have the same mass. But we have seen, we know isobars. Okay, isobars are there where we have seen argon and calcium. Okay, argon, its atomic number is 18, whereas calcium's atomic number is 20. But they are having same mass. Argon's mass is 40 and calcium is also having mass 40. Okay, so this is another limitation of Dalton's atomic theory. Atom of the different element may have the same mass. Here argon and calcium, these two are two different elements but they are having same mass. Okay, so this is one another limitation of Dalton's atomic theory. Next we have the compounds. When we will be getting the compounds, the atoms will combine to form compound. So there they will be combining in a simple whole number ratio always. Okay, but if we will talk about the glucose. Okay, this is no. If we talk about this is sugar, C12H22O11. Okay, so this is, if we take the ratio of this, so you cannot see. Let me find this. In some compound, we can have the atoms may not combine in simple whole number ratio. This is C12, this is sugar, O11. Okay, now if we take the ratio of this 3, then the ratio will be 12:22:11. Okay, so this is not a simple ratio. So this is another drawback of Dalton's atomic theory. Next, Dalton told that matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. Okay, and we cannot convert any element to another. Okay, this cannot be done. We cannot convert any element to another element. But we have seen that any element can be converted to other element, but in expense of something, in expense of energy, we can do that. Okay, out of nothing we cannot create any. Atom can neither be created nor be destroyed. This was Dalton told. But we can create atom, but that is an expense of energy. Out of nothing we cannot do that. So how we can do this? will take beryllium. Okay, beryllium, this is 9,4. Now if we bombard this, if we make it react with helium, this is alpha particle, helium 42, dipositive helium ion, this is alpha particle we know. Now this will convert to, the beryllium can be converted to carbon here, carbon 6, 12, okay, and along with this we will be getting one neutron. Okay, so here boron can be converted to carbon, okay, but here energy will be by expense of energy we will be getting this. Another limitation of Dalton's atomic theory was, Dalton told that energy, mass and energy is cannot be interconvertible. We cannot interconvert them. Okay, but we know according to Einstein's theory, this is E is equal to mc square. Okay, this is the law by which we can get the amount of energy which can be interconverted to mass, or the mass which can be interconvertible to energy, right? E is the energy, m is the mass, and c is the velocity of light. Okay, so mass and energy can be interconvertible according to modern atomic theory. Next, we will talk about Avogadro's hypothesis, but before that, why this comes, Avogadro's hypothesis, before Avogadro, this Berzelius was a scientist. He have given one hypothesis, and after later on that was having some drawbacks, and that was corrected by Avogadro. So according to Dalton, any compound they will combine to, or during the reactions and all, in simple number ratio, the atoms will combine to produce some compound atoms. Okay, that means molecules. That time we will not use the we have not used this term molecule, but it was called as compound atoms, okay, by Dalton. Now in simple number ratio, the different elements or compounds, they will react to form the any other compound, and that again will be in simple number ratio. So that was told by Dalton. And again, Gay-Lussac, he told that the gaseous substances, they will react in a simple whole number ratio by their volume to produce any other gas. Okay, so in when the gaseous substances will react together, their volumes will be in simple whole number ratio. Okay, their volume will be having a simple ratio. Okay, in this manner they will react. So these two theories, as these two theories were there, so Berzelius thought that there must be some connection between these two, and he gave a postulate, or this is called hypothesis, because this was not having any experimental evidence of this. That's why we have to call it as hypothesis. Okay, and here he told, under similar conditions of temperature and pressure, equal volume of all gases contain equal number of atoms. Okay, according to him, under similar condition of temperature and pressure, equal volume of gases contain equal number of atoms. Okay, this was told by Berzelius. Now according to this, if we take the reaction of hydrogen, oxygen to produce water. Okay. So suppose in number of hydrogen if we this we have to balance first. So 2H2O. So 2 volume of hydrogen will combine to 1 volume of oxygen to produce 2 volume of water vapor. Okay. So as the volumes are in, this is by Gay-Lussac, this volume is in simple ratio. We can see this was told by Gay-Lussac, and according to Dalton, the atoms present in it, that is also in simple whole number ratio. So suppose this is 2n number of molecule, this is n number of molecule, and this is this here, as Dalton was told that as Dalton told this, so we have to take it as atom. 2 n atoms here, here n atoms, and here 2n atoms. Okay, so this was the first one. This was told by Gay-Lussac, and according to Dalton, this we have got, that is, as the volume, as they are reacting together, so the number of atoms present in it, that will be simple whole number ratio. So 2n number of atom is present here, oxygen n number of atom, and water n number of atom. Now this, if we omit n, then we will be getting 2 atom, here 1 atom, and here 2 atom. Okay, so 2 atom of water we are getting here. This we will call as compound atom. Okay, according to Dalton, this is compound atom. So 2 number of compound atom we are getting. Now how to get 1 atom? So this we have to write as 1 atom, then this is half atom, and this is 1 compound atom. Okay, so now as for oxygen we are getting half atom, that means this is in direct conflict with the Dalton's atomic theory, because he said that atom is indivisible, we cannot divide the atom. Okay, so there comes the drawback of this. Okay, drawback of Dalton as well as Berzelius. Now comes Avogadro, who just little bit who changed this hypothesis a bit, and he told that under similar conditions of temperature and pressure, in any the equal volume of gases, they contain equal number of molecules. Equal volume of gases will contain equal number of molecules, not equal number of atom. Okay, atom, that was told by Berzelius, but Avogadro told it will be molecules, not atom. So if we take this, the same reaction if we take, so this will be molecules according to Avogadro's theory, Avogadro's hypothesis. Under similar conditions of pressure and temperature, equal volume of all gases contain equal number of molecules. So these are in gaseous form, hydrogen, oxygen and water. So this hypothesis is valid for this. So equal number of, equal volume, here volume is 2, this is 1, this is 2 volume. So equal volume is there, So they will contain equal number of molecules. So this is 2n molecule, n molecule, and this is 2n molecule. Okay, now this will be molecule, this is molecule, this is molecule. Now when we are dividing this, two molecules we are getting, 2 molecules of water vapor we are getting from this. Now how to get one molecule? This is one molecule, this is one molecule, and this is half molecule. Okay, now Dalton told that atoms cannot be divisible, but molecules can be divided. We can divide molecules, they can be divisible. So half molecule of oxygen, that means in one oxygen atom, in one oxygen molecule, 2 atoms are there. So half molecule means 1 atom of oxygen. So this is 2 atoms of hydrogen will combine with 1 atom of oxygen to produce 1 molecule of water. Okay, so this was according to Avogadro's hypothesis. Next we will do some laws of chemical combination, how during the chemical reactions, how the elements or the atoms will combine together. According to in relation with this, some laws are there which we will call as law of chemical combination. So one by one we are going to discuss those. First we have law of conservation of mass. This was given by Lavoisier. Okay, the first law, that is law of conservation of mass. This again you have done in previous class. So we know here in this law what is told, that matter can neither be created nor be destroyed, and in a chemical reaction the total number of the reactant, the total mass of the reactant will be equal to the total mass of the product. Okay, that means left hand side the total mass of the reactant will be equal to the total mass of the product. So this was told in this law, and here many experimental verification of this law is there. So one which easily we can do, that is a precipitation reaction, and that was done by Landolt. Landol's experiment, and for this we have to take a H-shaped container. Okay, here we are going to take the reaction mixture. Okay, this is H-shaped bottle. Now here in one we are going to take silver nitrate, and in another one we are going to take sodium chloride. Okay, sodium chloride solution, silver nitrate solution in one, and in another we are going to take sodium chloride solution. Okay, now at this stage these two are in two separate bottles and they are not mixed till now, and at this stage we are going to take the weight. Okay, we will be measuring the weights. Suppose this is W. Now after shaking this we are going to mix this two and then we are going to get the reaction. Okay, so this is W is the WP. If we take, that is the WR. This is the weight of the reactant, we will be saying. Okay, here. And after the reaction, again we are going to take the weight, and that is WP, if we say. Okay, we will be shaking this two, and they will react, and we will get the reaction as the white precipitation of silver chloride we are going to get here. This is AgNO3 plus NaCl. So we know the reaction AgCl, the white precipitation we will get along with NaNO3, sodium nitrate solution. Okay, so this WR will be equal to WP. That means reactant side, the mass will be equal to the product side. So from this we can say that this law of conservation of mass is valid for this reaction. Okay, but as we know, now we have to always, this is not true, means there will be certain change or very slight change in the mass which cannot be we cannot measure it. Okay, because it's too small. But we have the law of conservation of mass and energy together. Actually, this is the actual law which is having which is true. Okay, and which is having which will be valid for each and every reaction, and that is the total mass, the total mass and energy in any chemical reaction will remain constant. Okay, so as we know, E is equal to mc square, this reaction, this law of Einstein, that energy when very little mass is lost, a huge amount of energy will be released. Okay, and as in each and every chemical reaction, heat is evolved or absorbed. So change of as change of energy is there, that means there will be some loss or gain of mass in any chemical reaction. Okay, E is equal to mc square by this. Okay, but as this mass is too small to count, that's why it is apparently it is we cannot understand that. Okay, this is the fact. So the sum total of mass and energy in the system of a system is always remain constant. So that is the law of conservation of mass and energy. And in this change of mass, we can only understand in the reactions where there will be very huge change in mass. That means in those radioactive reactions, we can understand that we will be getting this in radioactive reactions. Okay, so this is next we are going to discuss the law of definite proportion or law of constant composition. Okay, this is called the second law. This is law of definite proportion or law of constant composition. Law of constant composition. Now, what is that? In this law, it is stated that from anywhere we can get the compound, but the proportion will be same. Okay, from suppose the water we can collect from anywhere. Okay, or let us take the example of carbon dioxide. Suppose we are getting some carbon dioxide by burning some wood or something. Okay, so C plus O2 CO2. In this manner we are getting the carbon dioxide. Okay, acha, in this law it is state a pure chemical compound regardless of its source is always made up of the same elements combined together in the fixed proportion by weight. Okay, that means from any source we may get the compound, but the elements by which it is made, they will be always in constant proportion and a fixed proportion by weight. So by this we are getting the carbon dioxide. Next we can get this carbon dioxide by decomposition of calcium carbonate. Okay, so CaO plus CO2, in this manner we are getting. Again we can get it by, suppose, calcium carbonate. In this we are adding HCl, and by this it will evolve carbon dioxide, so that also we can get. Now in this by this three source we are getting the carbon dioxide, but in everywhere the ratio of carbon is to oxygen. Okay, this will be 12 parts by weight of carbon is combining with 32 parts by weight of oxygen. Okay, so this is so here this is the ratio of carbon is to oxygen here. So we can simplify this by, this is 3:8. Okay, 3:8. This is the ratio of carbon is to oxygen in carbon dioxide. Okay, ratio by weight. So in each and every case we will be getting the ratio as 3:8. So this is the law, but though it's having some drawback or limitation, where if we have different isotopes, suppose here carbon we have used, but we have to use always the same isotope of carbon. If, as we know, we have three different isotopes. Three different isotopes of carbon. One is C12, C13 and C14. 14 is the radioactive isotope. So C12 and C13 we have. Okay, now they are not having the same mass. Okay, so in one if we use C12 and in one if we use C13, then this law will not match with this. Okay, so this is the drawback of this. Another drawback which we have in this law, that is we have suppose this is C2H5OH. This is ethanol. Okay, we know this is ethanol, and another one we have, that is this is ether, CH3O CH3, dimethyl ether. Okay, so this two is having how many? Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. The ratio, this is 2. We have C2H6O. Okay, and here also we have C2H6O. Okay, that means these two are the ratio of this atoms made up with this to form this compound. These are two separate compounds. This is ethanol and this is dimethyl ether, but they are having same ratios. Okay, so this also can be possible, and again the same element but having different mass, and that is also possible. So these two are the two limitations of this law. Okay, so this is all for today. we have different few numerical problems on this, so that those are very simple, so that you try to solve. Okay, you just get that, you go through the this numericals which are there in the exercise, which are solved numericals. You just go through it. It's very important, it's very easy. Okay, so this you do and go through this part. Okay, next day we will be doing the rest, all laws which are there, and we will be solving few numericals also. Okay, till then, take care.